Great Fire of Rome. The disaster that changed history forever. Rome, the greatest empire of its time, nearly vanished in a sea of flames. Rome, the Eternal City, a metropolis of grand temples, bustling markets, and crowded wooden tenements, was at the height of its power in 64 AD. With an empire stretching across 3 continents, Rome was the beating heart of civilization, home to over 1 million people. It was a city of splendor and excess, yet beneath its marble temples, it was a tinderbox waiting for a single spark. On the night of July 18, 64 AD, that spark was struck. A fire broke out near the Circus Maximus, Rome's largest entertainment venue, where tens of thousands gathered daily to watch chariot races. The exact cause? Unknown. Some whispered that an accident in a merchant shop ignited the blaze. Others claimed arson, and some even believed the emperor himself had ordered it. Within minutes, flames engulfed the wooden stalls and shops, feeding on oil lamps, wooden beams, and cloth awnings. The fire spread with terrifying speed, fanned by strong summer winds, leaping from one neighborhood to another. What followed was one of the greatest disasters in ancient history. A city consumed. The inferno spreads as the flames tore through the narrow streets. Panic gripped the city. People ran through the smoke-choked alleys, clutching their children, trying desperately to escape. The fire leaped from house to house, temple to temple, burning everything in its path. The Roman vigiles, firefighters, tried to battle the flames, but they were overwhelmed. Rome's architecture was a nightmare for firefighting. The crowded wooden apartments and high-rise instantly acted like giant torches, lighting up the sky as if the gods themselves had set the city ablaze. Witnesses described a horrifying sight. The Tiber River reflecting the glow of the inferno, columns of flame rising hundreds of feet into the sky, and families being trapped inside burning buildings. Some said that as the flames spread, men were seen adding fuel to the fire instead of putting it out. Who were they? Looters? Criminals? Or imperial agents following secret orders? The fire raged on for 6 days and 7 nights. When it was finally under control, a second fire broke out, spreading even further. Rome had no chance. The aftermath. A city in ruins when the last embers finally died. 10 of Rome's 14 districts were left in ruins. The wealthy districts, built from stone and marble, survived with little damage. But the poorer areas, where the majority of Rome's population lived, were wiped out. Bodies were pulled from the ashes, charred and unrecognizable. Families who had lost everything wandered the streets, homeless and starving. The air reeked of death, smoke, and despair. In the ruins of Rome, anger began to rise. People demanded to know who was responsible, and all eyes turned to one man, Emperor Nero. Did Nero set Rome ablaze? Rumors spread like wildfire, just as fast as the fire itself. Some claimed that Nero had deliberately set the fire to clear space for a new, grander Rome. Others believed he had set it to build his dream palace, the Golden House, Domus Aurea. And then, there was the most infamous rumor of all, that as Rome burned, Nero stood on his palace balcony, playing his lyre and singing about the destruction of Troy. But was any of this true? Historical records suggest that Nero wasn't even in Rome when the fire started. He was at his villa in Antium, 30 miles away. As soon as he heard the news, he rushed back to the city and personally organized relief efforts. He opened his palaces to the homeless and arranged food shipments for the survivors. Yet, his actions after the fire only fueled the conspiracy theories. Instead of rebuilding the homes of the common people, Nero seized the destroyed land and built an extravagant palace for himself, the Domus Aurea, a sprawling complex of golden walls, gardens, and artificial lakes. Rome was furious, and to shift the blame, Nero needed a scapegoat. The first persecution of Christians, Nero pointed the finger at a small, growing religious group, the Christians. Christianity, still in its infancy, was misunderstood and feared by the Roman elite. Its followers refused to worship Roman gods, making them an easy target. Nero declared that it was the Christians who had set the fire, and what followed was one of the most brutal persecutions in history. Some Christians were burned alive, turned into human torches to light Nero's gardens at night. Others were thrown to wild beasts in the Colosseum for the crowd's entertainment. Many were crucified, the same fate as Jesus Christ. But instead of destroying Christianity, Nero's actions turned the Christians into martyrs. Their faith only grew stronger, eventually spreading throughout the empire. Rome rebuilt, and the fall of Nero in the years that followed, Nero rebuilt Rome, but not as it once was. He introduced new building laws, wider streets to prevent fires from spreading so quickly, fireproof stone buildings instead of flammable wooden homes, a city redesigned in his own vision. But his extravagance drained Rome's finances, and his cruelty turned the Senate and the people against him. By 68 AD, Rome had had enough. The Senate declared Nero an enemy of the state. Facing capture, he fled to a villa outside the city. As Roman soldiers closed in, he took a dagger and ended his own life. His final words? "What an artist the world is losing." And with that, the Julio-Claudian dynasty ended, plunging Rome into civil war. How the Great Fire of Rome changed history. The Great Fire of Rome wasn't just a disaster. It reshaped the empire forever. Rome was rebuilt stronger, but under tighter imperial control. Christianity, instead of being wiped out, only grew stronger. Nero's reign ended, setting Rome on the path toward a new era. Was Nero guilty, or was he just a victim of one of history's greatest conspiracies? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.